Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Network. It's Thursday night, and you know what that means. It's the Blackmagic Studios American Motorsports Association Grand National Series live from the shores of Lake Michigan, Grant Park. It is the Loop 110. Of course, it's Mark Murphy. I'm joined by Sam Crow. Sam is enjoying some technical difficulties, but this is one of the most interesting, if not the most interesting tracks in iRacing. This circuit, for our fans at home who don't know or maybe new to the sport, this circuit is entirely an invention of iRacing. The Chicago Street Course was initially a concept that was made on iRacing for the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series Invitational in 2021. Of course, that was during COVID. It was broadcast live on Fox. And then what happened? Well, the powers that be, once they had built the track in the sim, they actually made it come to life in real life. In July of 2022, the Grant Park 220 occurred. Was announced to be part of the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series. It replaced Road America, and NASCAR has come back here since. It is a track that is interesting in that it is run completely around an area of Chicago called Grant Park. It only uses really three streets: South Lake Shore Drive, which is the iconic Chicago street right next to the lake; Columbus Drive, which forms the main part of the circuit; and then South Michigan Avenue, which is the southernmost part. You also get action on East Jackson and East Balbo, as well as East Roosevelt. But really, the whole circuit is combined inside of 4 square blocks. It is not very big. The track, 2.2 miles around, and really it can be quite repetitive. It's a straightaway, 90-degree corner, straightaway, 90-degree corner, lefts and rights. There's only one real kind of sweeper, and that is turns 8, 9, and 10 as they go through the park. But that's kind of it. It's a very simple course. It can be very difficult to master. It is quite different than the Atlanta Motor Speedway that we saw last with Joseph Klein going to victory lane, or the Blackmagic Studios 225 at Pocono, where Greg Evans took the win, or even Logan Edwards. Logan Edwards was the last winner on a road course. He won the Daytona road course round in the Blackmagic Studios AMA Grand National Series, but this track is a completely different animal. It is very tight. There is no runoff. There is no margin for error. The other thing that you see at tracks like this is a short field, and so what'll happen a lot of times is guys will take this week off. It is not very popular among competitors, even to the point where it's not very popular among broadcasters. Sam Crow, well, he had to download the track right before coming in, and there you hear Sam. Sam, have you got it fixed up?
Oh, we're good to go. I was actually listening to your commentary. You're doing a great job. I don't even know why you bother keeping me around. Honestly, you do such a fine job. But
everybody knows.
I just remember. I remember when I first saw this track laid out, and I was thinking back in the day, in California and out west, they used to have the figure 8 tracks, and this track resembled a figure 8 track that didn't cross in the middle. And I just thought to myself, it would probably be a lot more exciting if it did.
You know, it comes really close as they go through turns 1 and 6 on Columbus.
Yeah,
there's nothing. If somebody knocks down that tire barrier, it would be you could have the potential for calamity. The other part of this is the track itself is very, very controversial within the city of Chicago. Not a lot of the local residents really want the race downtown, especially given that Chicago has an oval, and they have a very, very nice oval. But the powers that be in NASCAR want to be in downtown Chicago. The politics of the city of Chicago being what they are, a race was procured around Grant Park, which is one of the most iconic places in Chicago. It's where Soldier Field is. It's where a lot of the recreation is in the city. There's beaches down there. It's a beautiful area. You'll
Far from
see.
the Miracle Mile. Yep.
Yeah, I mean the Magic Mile as it is. That's on South Michigan. That's on Michigan Avenue, not too far
Right.
from where the racetrack is, and we use part of Michigan Avenue in this course. Of course, the businesses don't like it that the street in front of their places of business are closed.
And so much traffic is deterred as well, but
It is, and that's
for a
the
weekend. It's not just for a day. I mean, it takes a week to set this thing up.
well, and it's not like Long Beach or something like that or St. Petersburg. Well, Long Beach has a long tradition of having the street race, and so the residents there are more or less, they're used to having it. St. Petersburg, if you go to a street race there, often called the Monaco of the United States, yeah, it looks like it's in downtown, but really, there's not a whole lot of area that gets shut off. There's an airport there that they use for most of it, and then the whole thing is basically right around a city park. There's a old baseball stadium down there that's not in use when the racetrack is constructed, so it doesn't really hurt anything. But this is right in the heart of Chicago, and it takes up. It goes through some pretty highfalutin business areas and a very popular park that now the residents don't get to use. And so,
Well, a lot of those high rises there that you see on the straightaways are residential
yeah, well,
places that people live. So
yeah, they are. And again, not like Long Beach where you have a long tradition of people viewing the races out of those high rises. Those people didn't necessarily live in those condominiums along Michigan, Columbus, and South Lakeshore Drive. They didn't necessarily vote to be living next to a racetrack, and so it gets the. I live in what would be termed the easternmost suburb of Chicago, South Bend, Indiana. It's where the train line stops. The term subway alumni denotes Notre Dame fans that come from Chicago down the train to watch the Irish in the fall. So we get the Chicago media, and the editorials start when they start constructing the racetrack, and not all of them are very friendly. I'll tell you who is friendly, though. Ryan O'Donohue. Sam, one more
no,
time.
this is just rude. No, it's not friendly. It's rude. I mean, he's 5/10. He's a half a second quicker than any other time that's been posted in practice right now.
Well, not only that, but you got Logan Edwards, who's the kind of the road course. I would call him the ringer.
Ringer, yeah.
I would call him the ringer. He's second quick, but he's a half a second better than Kendall Paul in third. Kendall Paul,
Right.
0.8 of a second quicker than Joseph Klein in fourth. And then, once you get to Troy Carricker, now you're starting to see what I would term as normal service. Thank you so much, Shelby, for chiming in, and definitely do think Troy's got a shot here. This is one of those tracks, Sam. Street races, above all else, are chaotic. You need to make it through the start. You need to keep your car clean, and anything can happen. David Dunwoody has advised that there is a sale on brown pants in the 28 pit. They have pairs all stocked up for Spa, and tonight they've got brown denim, khaki, just whatever kind of brown pants you like. This track is very technical, and we're gonna show that when we ride on board. We'll ride on board with Troy Carricker to get the track tour during qualifying. How's that, Sam?
That sounds great. I'm sure Shelby would appreciate the opportunity to ride along with Troy. That'd be great.
I'm sure she would. We're going to get on the roll bar. This is one of those tracks that there's the iconic fountain, right? The Married with Children fountain in the middle of Grant Park there. It gets dyed green every year. Occasionally, pranksters will fill it full of bubbles. That's always fun, Sam.
Oh, those tricksters. Those old tricksters.
Indeed, they are. Kendall Paul
A couple of
is.
names that I haven't seen in recent weeks. Randy Dunlap is a name I have not seen, and then Robert Smith is another name that I have not seen. And so it's kudos to these guys that if they're showing up for their first time at an AMA event, that it would be a road course. I think a lot of it plays back to what you were saying earlier, Mark, when you were talking about the margin for error is so small here. And in road course racing, having runoff is the great forgiveness policy. And because you don't have that in street course racing, you can get in trouble very quickly if you make an error. And so it's very possible that anything could happen on a start, or if a driver begins to push too hard and the tires begin to wear, or he begins to use up too much of a race car, he can find himself in jeopardy as well. So anything could play out in the 50 laps that we have for our main event tonight.
It most certainly could. The thing that I'm most glad about, Sam, is that now we've got an update to this track, and they've closed everything off. When this track was first released in 2021, there weren't walls in some places, and it was actually possible to go down into the train stations if you missed a turn. You could get lost at the Chicago Street Course. Now, Troy Carricker is not getting lost. He's coming up East Jackson Drive. He's going to hook a right and get back onto Columbus. And when he does that, he'll be looking at the green flag. There's pit road. We'll get on board. There's Troy Carricker, the yellow gloves, and we're going to watch him. So he's going to come down here. He's going to hit about 130 miles an hour, hard on the brakes, 90-degree left-hander. You got to be careful, Sam. You do not want to touch the wall at the apex of the corner, because it will just shoot you straight across the track.
It'll throw the car completely sideways.
Yeah, we saw Carson Hocevar do that in the Cup race on Sunday. Down Lakeshore Drive toward turn 3, that's a soft right-hander, and then you've got to get hard on the binders right here for turn number 4, and then it's not very far to turn number 5. Quick squirt on the gas, on the brake again, slow right-hander. Now you're on Columbus again, headed back toward, on the other side of that wall is the front straightaway, and this is the wall that Sam and I were talking about. The front stretch is just on the other side of this. We're going to make a hard left down.
This is just one lap that he has going here, and you see how loose that the car is on just one lap. So can you imagine 14 laps, 20 laps?
Yeah, down Balbo, through Upper Wacker as it's known. It was possible to get on the Lower Wacker before they closed the walls off here. They had scanned all of it. Makes the right back on the Jackson. A little bit of opposite lock. Troy Carricker is going to turn for home and make one lap of the Chicago Street Course. And there he is, and you can see that car bad sideways. We're going to watch a lap number 2 for Troy Carricker. The time, the first one
goes to the top.
Yeah, minute 34.3. That is not too shabby at all.
No, now that he's got some heat in the tires, maybe he could actually really pull another second off that time.
Yeah, we've seen that. Logan Edwards now goes
Whoa,
to the top.
Look at that handful.
Yeah, now everybody's running their fastest laps on their second lap, and so do be mindful of that. Matty Wagner says road course racing in a stock car is blah for him. Road racing anything is blah for Matty Wags, and I've got to put up with him for 24 hours.
Oh,
Sam.
no, I think he clipped the wall there. Any touch of the wall will disqualify the lap.
Yes, it does. Now we'll see if he slows down or if he's going to continue on. He may continue on just for the practice.
Just for the practice, yeah. Just to get the lap time in.
Yeah. So, Sam, I'm gonna be in a Corvette for 24 hours this weekend with Wagner. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that my Ferrari is going to be a whole lot more quieter this weekend than your Corvette will be.
That's kind of an interesting crew that we've got. It's kind of an interesting crew that we've got in that deal. There's going to be 5 drivers. I will start the car, and then we're going to hand it over. Oh. I'm sorry, Sam?
I was just saying, you were talking about starting. That's a very important position to have on the team. Starting a 24-hour endurance race is it's very taxing, and it takes a lot to do that. So kudos to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna start the car. We'll go to Sean Merriman as he navigates the Chicago Street Course. I'm gonna do the first couple hours, and then we'll hand it over to a couple of very familiar names in for AMA fans. James Hodgson and Justin Osterman, Mr. Excitement. They're gonna drive the car until the sun goes down, and then when it gets dark, David Dunwoody and I are gonna hop back in it, and we will take the thing until daylight, and then James and Matty Wags will finish her off. So it's gonna be a fun time. I don't think that I would doubt that Corvette is going to have a straight body panel on it by the time we get done with it, Sam.
No, Spa's not conducive to getting a lot of body damage as it is getting so much gravel underneath the car. I've been in so many practices over the last 2 weeks.
Sean Merriman
Been on
hard
so
into the
many
wall.
practices that when I'm following drivers around the racetrack, I feel like it's snowing. There's so much gravel that's flying up in front of the windshield.
You know,
it's insane.
If you want to see something that looks like a skating rink, just watch the start of that race.
Oh, and Merriman finally loses it there, and he hits the wall.
Yeah, he nosed into it pretty hard. Looking at Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman now, as he navigates the 53 around the Chicago street course. I don't know about the Ferrari, but the Corvette, you have to be on your toes the first 2 or 3 times up through Eau Rouge, and then the first couple of times through Blanchimont, which is the flat-out left-hander at the bottom of the hill at Spa, coming toward home. Because if you overstep the grip on cold tires, boy, you're going to find out quickly how well the crash structure at the back of your car functions.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's that way in the Ferrari or not, but
this will be I've raced quite a few Daytona 24s and actually have had some good finishes in those races. But this will be my first. I've actually raced Sebring, but I've never raced Spa, so I'm really looking forward to this. The Ferrari is very friendly on its handling and consistent, and we've got a great team. So I'm excited about being involved in that.
And that's what makes it fun, endurance racing. What makes that fun is the team, the camaraderie. Especially if you want to see something funny, Sam, log into our stream about 4 a.m. Dunwoody and I will be absolutely going crazy. And the fun thing is, for us, we've never actually won one of the big ones. We've run second at Daytona 3 times. We've run second at Sebring a couple of times. We've run second at Petit Le Mans a couple of times, but we've never actually won one. We've been second almost, a dozen times or so. Qualifying is coming to a close. Dylan Godnez is still on the track, but he has completed all of his laps. Merriman did not record a time, neither did Brian Sharp, David Dunwoody. They all had incidents that precluded them. Randy Dunlap did not attempt a lap, and so he will start shotgun on the field. 16 cars signed in for tonight's event. Do want to thank everybody who's out there watching. Shelby Carricker, of course, do appreciate you. Matty Wags, feel free to chime in. Dunwoody stands corrected. They have a 1-2 at the Glen. That was before I joined the team, though. The next year, I coined the official phrase of the Black Magic Endurance team, which is, "Oh blank, I'm dead." And I knew the car was gone so far in advance, Sam, that Andy or that David was watching. He was producing the stream. He was watching. He just got out of the car. I was leading the race. Oh blank, I'm dead. Andy looked up, and there's a delay. Okay, he had time to stop what he was doing, look up at his screen, and then I crashed. Like I had lost the car 5 seconds before it was apparent to anybody else.
But
that was fun. No,
I guess on the stream that would really stand out for sure. There'd be no question.
It does. But I do look forward so much to the endurance stuff, and I hope you have a good time, Sam. We'll be cheering for you, just as I'm sure.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I've been very surprised. I know we're here at Chicago, and we're getting ready to start our event. We're greeting now, but I was just very surprised. I've raced Spa on several occasions in different venues or in different situations, and I enjoy the racetrack. but I don't know that I had quite the appreciation that I've had with it as much as I've had in these endurance practices in the Ferrari, and just being able to navigate and appreciate the track for the beauty that it is. It's a poetic track in my opinion. It has so many flowing corners, but yet the technical portion really is very pointed and gets your attention. So I find that an exciting thing. The lighting that they've used in iRacing to race it at night is very friendly. It's exceptional. It really is exceptional. I'm looking forward to it.
I am as well, Sam, but we have business to tend to here in the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. On the pole, to nobody's surprise, Ryan O'Donoghue. To the outside pole, also to nobody's surprise, Logan Edwards. And as Logan has informed us in the chat, Sam, if you add up the two numbers on the front row, they add up to exactly 100. So how about that little bit of trivia there? Row 2, Kendall Paul, Joseph Klein, John Hutchins, Justin Osterman. They're going to make up row number 3. Troy Carricker, Colby Pierce, they're going to go from 7th and 8th. Dylan Godinez, Eric Corder are going to round out your top 10. In 11th, Lee Campbell. He's going to be in the Goodyear colors. He's going to start alongside Robert Smith in the 11. Sean Merriman, David Dunwoody, they're going to be in row number 7, 13, and 14. Brian Sharp is going to take the grid. Hopefully he'll be tree free in the in that 125. He's going to take the grid. He'll start shotgun. Randy Dunlap is going to go from the pit lane.
Well, it'd be hard to hit the trees with these concrete barriers all the way around the racetrack.
Yeah, it's I don't know that old Sharp is going to have a chance to get to the trees. Now, he might hit some tire barriers, but that doesn't have quite the same ring to it, does it, Sam?
Well, when you talk about tire barriers, I mean, here at Chicago, it has been the buzz what happened with Cody Ware at the end of that NASCAR race. I have not seen impact like that since J.D. McDuffie lost his life at Watkins Glen in Turn 1. That impact reminded me of that particular race, and that wreck haunted me for the longest time in my early NASCAR fandom, and to watch him hit that wall full speed that he was, it was cringeworthy.
It is, and it's a testament to the safety of these cars
in
modern times that drivers, that drivers hit as hard as Cody Ware hit, and they don't want to get hurt
out with minimal injury. Yeah. I mean, really, that's just it really is a testament to the technology that they've brought to these drivers. But we're getting ready to start the race, and I think tonight, really, with any street course racing or any road course racing for that matter, is that consistency will get you a good finish tonight. Speed does have a big part in your qualifying position and being able to get out and run your own pace. But consistency, I think, is going to be the most integral part of drivers having a good finish, and then putting themselves in a position where they can take advantage of any driver that may mess up along the way. So the field should get spread out rather quickly, but with the stage breaks and things, we'll see some of this playing out as the race goes.
We will indeed. They're on the front straightaway here at Chicago, headed down South Columbus Drive. The green flag is out, and we're headed toward the left turn at East Balbo. Everybody 2x2. Let's see if they all make it through turn number 1, Sam.
Logan Edwards really gingerly going into turn 1 there. It backed up that outside line, but now he picks up the loud pedal really quickly, and so now now we see Colby Pierce really getting on the binders behind Justin Osterman. The back of that car got very squirrely, and John Hutchins takes advantage of that and pulls ahead of Osterman.
He does. Everybody does a very, very, very fine job getting through the first 3 corners. Now 4. We're looking at the field. So far, nobody has touched anything, and that's a that's a pretty awesome fact. Lap 1, cold tires, so much the potential for some calamity to occur. Everybody makes it through, Sam. Clean and green through lap number 1.
John Hutchins, actually, before the race started, I was really looking to see John Hutchins have a good finish. He's really been racing good over the last few weeks, and his speed has been picking up, and his racecraft's gotten so good. And so I'm really hoping that John Hutchins will be able to pull together a good finish today. And he seems to be doing really well on the longer runs. So be looking out for the 72 tonight.
I did see that 72 go just about flat sideways, Sam, coming out of turn number.
I told you he's good.
Yeah, he was coming out of turn 7, sawing on the wheel. Here we go. We've got 1 lap complete, and everybody has made it, Sam, through that first lap. Now, here's what I'm going to be looking for. You mentioned consistency. We're going to get up front. We're going to have a look at Ryan O'Donoghue because consistency for him is going to be oh so important as we navigate the Chicago street course tonight. But lappers are going to be huge here. He is already 13 seconds ahead of David Dunwoody and Brian Sharp, and so he is moving along at a clip.
19 seconds ahead of Robert Smith.
Yeah, he's moving along at a pace that he is going to see lap traffic here at some point in this race, if not within the first 15 laps or so.
Right. It's very possible that he would run into the traffic that's going to linger behind, as you were saying. But I also know that at this particular racetrack, with these the long straightaways that they have, there are ample opportunities for overtaking and for lap cars to move adequately out of the way to allow leaders to go by without. Oh, and John Hutchins actually catches a bit of the wall on the exit there, but also for the lap cars to get out of the way of the leaders once they catch them. It does give them that opportunity on those straightaways.
You know, it does indeed. One of the cars that we would notice Mitchie John Hutchins way loose coming off.
Yeah, what we're seeing is he's really trying to get launch off the corners, and that's why you're seeing the car react this way. He's using so much throttle to kind of get. He's braking. He's driving in deeper and trying to pick up the throttle sooner, and so much throttle is what's throwing this car around on the backside.
And that's a great way to roast the rear tires.
It's really going to make that rear tires angry.
Yeah, I was going to say it's cause and effect, right? The car is loose on exit. I'll pick up the throttle sooner. That's why it's loose on exit. It's one of those. Sometimes you got to go a little bit slower to go a little bit faster. That's John Hutchins. He is being pursued by Justin Osterman and Troy Carricker. Ryan O'Donoghue is your leader. We are not seeing the massive pace advantage from practice carry over the race. Logan Edwards has kept right on up with Ryan here at the beginning, and so those two run more or less nose to tail through Upper Wacker, around through the park, and then down toward turn 11 on South Michigan Avenue. But they've been more or less welded at the hip. Third place, Joseph Klein. He has Kendall Paul in hot pursuit of him. And then, well, we go back to John Hutchins. He's got Justin Osterman and Troy Carricker right there. So it's almost as if we've paired and trioed off here throughout the front 7. We've got a pair, we've got a break.
Troy Carricker seems to be the one sole driver that's just in this rocking chair. And he has no one pushing him. He can work his own pace. You were talking about how the Ryan O'Donoghue is not pulling away by leaps and bounds. These two drivers have been racing each other on several road courses now in both series, the AMA Black Magic Grand National Series, as well, the AMA Industrial
Archway Industrial
Series as well. And so they've been racing each other, and they raced at Lime Rock. And again, Ryan O'Donoghue was incredibly fast at Lime Rock, but Logan Edwards proved that he had a great long run truck. And so those are things that do not leave drivers' minds. They're like elephant. It amazes me every time I do a broadcast with you, Mark, of what you remember. Your memory is I would compare it to any Ringling Brothers elephant that ever acted. So it's just I'm not calling you an elephant, but I'm saying you got that kind of
It's
memory.
only
And
with regard to motor racing. I can't remember what I ate
yeah,
for
and so
breakfast.
that's what I'm saying. Drivers do not forget. Drivers do not forget the what happened to them in other races, what other races do to them in other races, or how fast other drivers are in races. You try to pick up on their strengths. You try to extinguish your own weaknesses, and so that you can become better and stay within the range of those good drivers. And so, uh, Ryan O'Donohue is already proved that he's fast. He's proved that he's consistent, and he's in instances like this where he's not trying to use up all the car at the beginning of the run. It proves that he's also smart enough to know that Logan Edwards is going to be there over the long run.
Yeah, and look, I mean, Ryan O'Donohue certainly knows what happened at Lime Rock. He certainly knows the speed in the car of Logan Edwards. Edwards, of course, won at the Daytona Road Course, and so he's a known quantity. He's been a winner in road circuits in the IndyCar on P1 in the Indy
Yes, sir.
Open Series, and
Yes.
so he's a known quantity when it comes to turning right and left. I'll tell you who's doing a fine job on an island, kind of, well, not on an island, but who's doing a fine job is Joseph Klein. Now, Klein is also a past winner here. He won in Atlanta last week, and you could not find two different places than the Atlanta Motor Speedway at night and the Chicago Street Course on the 4th of July weekend. I don't think that
Two
you
totally
could.
different creatures.
Yeah, I don't think you could. I don't think you could have Kendall Paul. Although may not be presenting as a road racer, he's very highly placed actually in the iRacing IndyCar series. He normally runs on our endurance team, and so Kendall Paul doing a fantastic job running along in 4th. And then of course you've got Justin Osterman. He
Who
is
just made the pass on John Hutchins the last lap while we were talking earlier. He
yeah,
actually made the pass on John Hutchins.
yeah, and he's pulled
And
away.
now Troy Carricker, who we've been talking about at the beginning of the event as well. Troy Carricker is now he's catching John Hutchins and closing in for that particular position as well. He's trying to take 6th.
Yeah, in that top 8, John Hutchins was the slowest car the last time through, and so Hutchins, I wonder if he has used the good in the good years, so
Those
to
back
speak.
tires, yeah.
Mike Rigney says he bets you remember a certain Atlanta race you were in 2006, Sam.
That was probably one of the most intense races that on the old surface, wore out race tires. Mike Rigney and I were door to door, lap after lap after lap. We both talked about that for years, and we continue to remember that as one of the most fondest races that we ever raced against each other. It was incredible what we were able to pull off at that particular racetrack in those cars and in that particular event.
Now, Sam, does Mike remember who won his IndyCar race Monday night? That's the bigger question.
Oh, does he remember?
Does he remember?
We'll have to look into the feed.
Yeah, you.
Wax is talking about dealing with him for 24 hours.
Well,
Listen, that's what they make Motrin and the leave for, Wag.
I'm going to need Motrin and a leave to get out of my rig because overnight, essentially, what happens is I'll do a double. Dunwoody will do a single stint, and then I'll do a double. Dunwoody will do a single, and we'll alternate on and off like that.
Oh, wow. A 4-hour stint?
Well,
Or
2 hours. 2 hours on,
Right.
one off throughout the night.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And then typically I'll exit the car at about 6:30, go to church, come home, and go to sleep. that 7 a.m. mass
We're
is
doing the Friday night. Yeah, we're doing the Friday night split. So that's when we're racing.
good deal. No, that 7 a.m. mass after you've been racing all night is perfect because it's about 30 minutes long, no singing, no dancing, in and out, come home, go to bed. Watching off the roof of Troy Carricker, he is all over the back he is all over the back of John Hutchins now. And I don't think it's going to be much longer, Sam, before Troy Carricker has that 6th spot. John Hutchins is losing the rear at almost every corner now.
Yeah, it's definitely noticeable that how he's decided to approach the first part of this race is starting to affect tire wear for him. In the meantime, we're seeing the consistency that we talked about out of Justin Osterman as he's pulled away and left John Hutchins, and in the meantime, he's slowly nibbling at that space that was between him and Joseph Klein and Kendall Paul. He'll be within a couple of laps. He should be right up there with those drivers fighting it out for 3rd spot. And then, of course, Ryan O'Donoghue is still managed to keep a little bit of a space between he and Logan Edwards, and we're 8 laps into the event. And we'll see if Ryan O'Donoghue, as what we talked about, has learned about what he can do to save those tires for the long run and keep Logan Edwards at bay. I don't know that the other cars are going to be, or that they've really caught or made up any time on the leaders. They continue to maintain this 7 to 8 second interval.
Yeah, and so I wonder.
So it makes it a two driver race at the moment.
It does, and one of the things I was going to point out, you will see on O'Donoghue's car the front tires, the brake disc glowing on the fronts. That's one of the things that you can kind of tell just if you're a viewer here, kind of what the brake bias is on each one of those cars, and that of course is going to affect handling. The further you move that bias front or back, the more or less that heats the tires on that end of the car. And so Ryan O'Donoghue, he has a lot more front brake than he does rear. We haven't really looked at Logan Edwards. Kendall Paul has now dispatched Joseph Klein, and so Kendall Paul moves into 3rd, and Klein is under fire from the automobile of Justin Osterman. Yeah.
He has really been closing in on these drivers lap by lap. His lap times have been very comparable to the leaders in all regards. Justin Osterman's lap times have been even with the leaders themselves, Ryan O'Donoghue and Logan Edwards.
Yes, they have. He's going to flash to the outside.
But now they could be pacing themselves by all rights. They have opened up a good lead. There's no need to push too hard, and so they could be pacing themselves.
Look at Justin Osterman. He is all over the backside of Joseph Klein there. My goodness gracious. You see him feinting inside and out. That's just to get the guy in front of you off the game, right, Sam?
Oh yeah, we call it peekaboo among my circle of friends, as we really try to get behind a car like that in road course races. Start pulling out of the lane behind them to make them think that we're going to dive bomb them or make it a precarious pass. We just call it peekaboo, just to get them driving in their mirror and just to start missing their mark, because they're always looking for their marks ahead of them. Oh, look how deep Osterman. Oh, he drives it in too deep and he collects. Great save by Joseph Klein right there.
So he's going to have to rebuild that. He's going to have to rebuild that
Absolutely.
run. Yeah, he's going to have to rebuild that run. Behind them, John Hutchins continues to dirt track his way around Chicago. Troy Carricker, just a little glance off the wall there, nothing too outrageous. I cannot believe that John Hutchins has managed, Sam, to hold on to that spot. He is slideways at every hard acceleration zone.
Well, at some point, sometimes these tires will equalize.
They do.
And if it gets down to the rim, it's equalized.
I was going to say the pressures are equal when they're all flat, right, Sam? There it is again. You can tell. Let's watch from the chopper and watch John Hutchins here at the exit of every corner. He is sliding that car around. I mean, it's everywhere. And Troy Carricker, he sees it. He wants by for certain sure here.
Oh, well, anytime you see someone that seems to have a handful of car in front of you, you're thinking, I hope you don't wreck. I hope you don't wreck. And then you don't want to be caught in the middle of it. Because if a car turns on on one of these corners here on the edges, it could actually block the racetrack and hold you up, and you can't miss them.
No, and that's something else that that we saw in real life. Thankfully, everybody here in the AMA made it through. But to be fair, this track during the Cup race did have a track blockage and a red flag because of it. It is that narrow. You get one car sideways, everybody else behind him just has to park it.
Checking back through the field, I see where David Dunwoody has made his way up to 11th place, but I don't know that there is one corner on that car that has not been re-altered. And so, if anybody's getting their money's worth on the body, it's going to be David Dunwoody tonight.
His body man is going to have to work overtime to fix that one. The whole left side appears to have been flattened, Sam. That would be the word I would choose to describe it. Flattened. He's got some damage on the right rear as well. Looks like
the right rear spoiler is completely jacked up on the car. I'm looking. It seems to be crab walking down through the straightaway.
Whatever it is, he's got
the camber on the front left tire is completely out.
maybe he's adjusted it on the wall, Sam, made it handle a little bit better.
Well, that's very possible. Is that sometimes you can damage these cars enough that it does change the handling characteristics. And he's continuing to work on it as we talk, but it can change the handling characteristics and make it a little easier to drive or harder to drive.
I mean, they used to do that on purpose, right? Hit the banking in a certain way so it would bend the side skirt a certain way to make a pound or two less drag or a little bit more downforce.
I was racing an Xfinity race at this year at Iowa, and in turns 3 and 4 there are these really repetitive little, I call them like rumble strips in 3 and 4 on the very bottom. And if you could cling to the bottom in this Xfinity car and make the car stick on the line, once you hit those little rumble strips, you could feel it in the steering wheel, and it would actually turn the car for you for the straightaway, and you could accelerate quicker. And it's just little things like that, the nuances of the track or the car, that can make a big difference. I'm not sure what happened to Colby Pierce. Colby Pierce actually started in the 8th position. He's fallen back to 13th spot.
Yeah, we were looking at that battle between Hutchins and Carricker. It still rages. Justin Osterman is going to have one more go at Joseph Klein. They have found each other. Just to kind of go through the field really quickly, I'll keep my eye on the interval between Osterman and Klein. There is Dylan Godinez. Godinez runs along. He's in 8th spot. And so Dylan Godinez, and there he goes sideways, just about spins the car out. But Dylan Godinez continues along. He's got some damage. It appears to the left front of that automobile. Eric Corder is in 9th in the number 77 Toyota Supra. There's Eric Corder. We see him going through there. His car looks fairly clean, Sam.
Right, it does. There's several cars that look clean. These drivers seem to really want to make sure that they race without beating the car up a whole lot. Dylan Godinez's car looks really good. Several other drivers have done a great job keeping it off the wall. Eric Corder has only had a couple of little missteps, just slight touches from what I've seen. Lee Campbell as well. But I wanted to mention too that sometimes when you see somebody like David Dunwoody and the car has quite a few wrinkles, or as we were watching John Hutchins earlier, and he was making contact with the wall. When the Xfinity cars, the Grand National cars of all the NASCAR lineup, these particular, and Osterman sticks it in on Joseph Klein and spins him out. Wow, what a bold move that was. Joseph Klein will not be happy with that. John Hutchins will overtake Klein as well.
Yeah, let's see what we've.
I
Let's
was
see.
watching that closely while I was commentating, and Osterman really made a bold move on the inside of Klein and just cleaned him out.
Yes, he does. We're going to watch it. Watch it right here. There's Osterman into the back of Klein, and then we're going to get one more. We're going to show it from the cockpit of Justin Osterman here. And poor Joseph
His braking
Klein.
points have been totally different than Joseph Klein's, and I think maybe he thought that he could outbrake him going into the corner, but there was just no room for turn there.
Yeah, even if he gets to the inside there, Sam, I don't know that he makes the corner. Just such a
No, I agree.
such an angle there. But there's Justin, and you're right. Just outbroke himself right into the back of Joseph Klein, and so Joseph Klein did drop back behind John Hutchins, and will slide in between Hutchins and Carricker, and so there's Klein. See if he can't. He'll see if he can't get back past John Hutchins one more time. Working lap 14 of 50. Do want to thank all of the sponsors here in the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. We do have a stage caution coming up, Sam. So
Yes, sir. We do.
Kind of note that we're going to have.
That's going to certainly bundle some things up again, and we'll see how the drivers handle the second stage of this particular event. Before the contact between Osterman and Klein, I was going to mention, though, before I forget, is that these particular cars, these Grand National cars, of all the NASCAR entries, these cars have the most suspension travel of any of, more than the trucks, more than the Cup cars. The suspension travel on these cars is incredibly different than it is on those
Battle for the lead, Sam.
classes.
Battle for the lead. Logan Edwards had flashed to the outside, then to the inside of Ryan O'Donoghue. Couldn't make it stick going into turn number one. Now, here's the thing. The stage caution does not fly until 10th place crosses the line. 10th place is Eric Quarter. He is almost a minute behind. He has 52 seconds, so he's nearly a minute behind these cars. They're going to get half a lap before that caution comes out. You got to keep going here.
Oh yeah, you don't need to slow down. That's for sure. You want to make sure that you maintain pace and speed. It's a two-car race right now, but Kendall Paul slowly has just been whittling away at their lead. What was 8 seconds at one point, almost 9 seconds at one point, is now just 5 seconds.
Well, it's now down to 3.6.
There goes Edwards again.
Yeah, Edwards is worrying Ryan O'Donoghue. He's forcing him to run a defensive line.
He's trying that high entry, low exit, a crossover, and now he's on the inside of Ryan O'Donoghue, or on the outside, rather.
Right, but O'Donoghue has the preferred line going for the next corner, and that's going to allow him to keep the lead. But what these two are doing is they're battling up front. They're a second to 3 seconds slower a lap than they would be if they just ran nose to tail, Sam, and that's allowed Kendall Paul to creep back into the picture. Yeah.
Yes, sir. 2 more seconds. They closes up on them, and then Logan Edwards has to regather everything around back to him and try to catch Ryan O'Donoghue again.
Yes, he does. This is, by the way,
that's one of the harder things about this racetrack is overtaking.
It is because they're one. You would think it's easy to pass, but it's really not because the track is so narrow. The other bit of that, Sam, is you can force the other guy into some. You can force yourself into some really bad spots. There's the caution, yeah. You can force yourself into some really bad spots by trying to force things. We saw that kind of with Justin Osterman. But you can put yourself, if you think if you're going to outbrake somebody going in, let's say you're going to make a bold move, you're going to get to a guy's inside in turn number 1. If he hangs tough, he has the inside for turn number 2, then 3, then 4. It's not that most of these are 90-degree right or left-handers. It's that one 90-degree right-hander is followed by a 90-degree left-hander. And so it's very difficult to make a lap to make a pass stick, because as long as a guy can keep, they can keep a fender alongside a quarter panel, they're going to have the advantage in the next corner. And it's so narrow that you don't want to overcook something, and so it's very difficult to pass. Caution is on the speedway. Ryan O'Donoghue does win the stage from Logan Edwards, Kendall Paul, Justin Osterman, John Hutchins, Joseph Klein, Troy Carricker, Dylan Godness, Lee Campbell, and Eric Quarter round out your top 10. Robert Smith should have the lucky dog here. Brian Sharp has found the trees. He is in the pit lane 5 laps in. We're not going to have a lucky dog because Smith is on the pit lane under repair as well. Interesting to see here, Sam. Is anybody going to pit?
Well, as small as the field is, if you have speed, I think I would pit. I think you have 4 sets of tires in the pit area, and as much as the handful as these cars are after a long run, I think I would pit. I think I would take the tires.
Now, is this one of those, Sam, where the tires might be better used? I mean, I wouldn't think that fuel is going to be an issue here.
Not on a restart, they won't be.
Well, no, but there are certain places where you don't want to change tires.
Because they will cool off under this caution period. They will cool off, and if they were, if they were sketchy on the initial start, being fresh, you can imagine what they're going to be on a restart and being worn and cold.
We can definitely imagine. You're also going to have some drivers who are going to want to affect repair. The nice thing about Chicago, the street course here.
Oh yeah, long
caution period. Here's the pit lane shot. Everybody is coming down the pit road. At least in the top 9, they all stopped. The pace car is going to come past us. Quarter has come in. So there's the pace car, and there is nobody behind it, Sam.
Green tires are the bill for the day.
Hey, you paid the bill.
So
you might as well use them.
Exactly. And if, drivers like John Hutchins, who have clearly used up every bit of the rear tires in the car, he's probably begging for those fresh Goodyear Eagles.
I'm sure he is, and two, you've got some cars. Joseph Klein, Troy Carricker, shout out to him. He made up 2 spots just by virtue of not having to repair any damage. John Hutchins got some repair. Joseph Klein, 30 seconds in his pit box. Dylan Godness, Eric Quarter, Lee Campbell, Sean Merriman.
Tagged twice in the back there by Osterman. He had suffered significant damage in the back of his race car.
Yeah, and so that's the nice thing, right? These caution laps are going to be like something like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So you can get significant repair done, Sam. Significant
repair. Yeah, we might actually be able to read the sponsors on Dunwoody's car by the time that they're finished this time.
Now let's not get carried away, Sam. There's David Dunwoody. He is rolling. He is rolling that 28. I think
he wants to keep that. Yeah, he wants to keep that spoiler jacked up there a little bit to give the right rear tires a little bit more downforce.
He's definitely adjusted the toe on that car. I can tell you that much. You can see
it looks a lot better.
You can visibly see the right front and the left front both leaned over. So whatever adjustments he's made with the concrete, he's given it a little bit more camber. Inward camber, at least on the fronts.
I would love to know what the tire wear is on some of these drivers.
I'd love to know what the tire wear is on that thing.
Well, let's pull somebody up and ask them.
Let's do it. Let's get.
Let's do that. Let's pull somebody in the booth and ask them what their tire wear was. John Hutchins would be a great one.
I want to know about Dunwoody. We're going to get Dunwoody. Maybe.
Okay.
Move to David Dunwoody. It's Murph and Sam Crow in the P1 Broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
What's going on, fellas?
So,
Hi, David.
We've got a question for you, my friend.
I was trying to comment in the chat while I was driving under yellow.
Well, you were quacking.
I was going to answer your question.
You were quacking the duck. That's for sure. But we do have a question for you, my man.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's not a question.
That's Saturday. That's
So
Saturday. Save that for
that's
Saturday.
Saturday at 3 a.m. Listen, we noticed that you've adjusted the car on the wall a few times. What's the tire wear on that 28 look like?
Tire wear, 93 on the right front and 82 on the right rear.
There we go.
About the same on the left. So I wasn't going to pit, but I figured I might as well fix some of this damage.
82 on the rear. That's significant wear.
It is. Is there the follow up to that? Is are there any parts on that automobile that are not damaged?
The roof.
Excellent.
Well,
Definitely the roof, but I think we can get that too.
We hope you'll spare the roof so you'll have a way to get out of the car after the race.
Well, that would mean I'm cheating.
Get out of the hat.
If you ask Dale Jr., he'd say I'm cheating.
we're gonna put David Dunwoody back where he belongs in the Dark Horse Performance Chat with Colby Pierce. Always a pleasure to talk to David. But there is business to attend here to Sam. The lights on that pace car are off, and it's a good looking pace car. What is that? BMW M4, M3.
I believe you were right. It looks good.
Normally get a Porsche 911.
It's got the M Series logo on the top. So
normally when you do the stock car stuff, you get a Porsche 911 on a road course. So BMW is kind of a newer,
on iRacing.
Yeah.
I've never raced an endurance race in the 911. I would love to, but I haven't. I've raced it in the BMW. I've raced it in the Ferrari. I've raced it in the Corvette. I've raced it in the McLaren, but never have I raced it in the 911. I would love to do it in the 911.
We usually run the GTP, and so.
Right. Is that what you're running here at Le Mans? I mean, at Spa?
No, well, Spa's all GT. It's an all GT race.
That's what I thought.
It's all GT race. So, a lot of it is down to, of course, we're working,
big jump by Ryan O'Donoghue. Sorry to cut you off there, but what a big start that he got here.
Yes, he did, and there you see it. Logan Edwards is going to get clear of Kendall Paul and Justin Osterman. Troy Carricker is going to run along in fifth.
And Joseph Klein gets into the back of Osterman.
Okay,
and
so
now
this
Osterman drives back.
He's going to get to him again. Now, this isn't over, Sam.
Just a little touch.
Merriman hard in the wall.
Merriman spinning off the corner.
This isn't over, Sam.
Well, now Osterman's behind him, and I'd almost prefer to be behind Osterman and just save my tires for a while. I don't know that I'd want him.
Usually, Sam, and you're much more knowledgeable in the history of stock car racing than I am. But if you've got a guy behind you whose nickname is Mr. Excitement and he's mad, I might pull over.
If you've already been, he's already readjusted your rear spoiler twice. It certainly is something to keep in mind. We were talking about drivers' memories.
I believe I'd pull over and let that guy go.
Yeah, I think I probably would, just to spare myself the anger and the frustration, and then hope that it comes back to me.
That's the
who's in front of them.
Troy Carricker,
the car that was behind them there earlier in the race, and Troy Carricker has done a great job of keeping his car clean. And Shelby actually made a call at the beginning of the race. He says that this is the one for Troy Carricker, and so he has worked his way well up into the field as he runs in the sixth position.
He's in the hunt.
So we're excited to see. Yeah, we're excited to see. Well, actually, he's in fourth. If
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
Well,
He's in fourth.
Klein and Osterman got to beating on each other, and Troy Carricker got through there. Now he restarted in fifth, and so
Right.
he had made up significant positions on pit road simply because Sam he didn't have to fix any damage.
It makes a big difference. It really does make a big difference if you can consistently keep that car clean.
It most certainly does. But
and run same lap time.
Yeah, and he's not been the fastest car on the track, but he has been one of the most consistent, just right in that one.
I agree with that.
130.
No, that's well said.
Yeah, he's been within, 2 or 3 tenths of that 134.5 either way, and that's been his pace, and he's been content to run that, and so he's going to run it into fourth. Osterman is right back to Joseph Klein.
Sure
we're going to have at this again, Sam.
This will probably be the most exciting part of what we're going to be seeing on the racetrack for the next little bit, and it's going to get interesting to see if Joseph Klein decides that he's going to keep that number 7 plenty wide, or if Justin Osterman is going to try the same strategy that he did in the first stage to get around the 7.
Well, you're looking at it through Justin Osterman's eyeballs. One thing he is not doing, Sam, he is not sparing the rod, figuratively speaking, on those rear tires. Sliding it through the final corner. Here he is going through turn 1. You can hear it, Sam. Here we go. You could.
Oh yeah, that high entry. He was already well past or up to the door of Klein. It really did not make it conducive to try that crossover.
No.
A lot of these drivers are starting to take advantage of that as they have watched SVG do it in the Cup Series. I remember watching him in the Australian Supercar Series, and he was an exceptional. There really are some exceptional road course racers in that series.
Well, it's all they
Australia.
do.
And they're amazing in stock cars. They really are. So it doesn't surprise me, with Ambrose. Ambrose came and raced in Cup for a while, and now you have SVG who's come in and really dominating road courses the way that he is. There's a lot to be learned. It's funny how it doesn't translate into oval racing, though.
You know what's funny, and you mentioned Australian supercars, the V8s. That's a series that I've watched it for a long time. It's one of those where I wish that NASCAR would have adopted more of the V8 supercar model for the next gen, rather than having done what amounts to a front engine GT3 car.
Yeah.
I really wish they would have used the Australian supercar more as a model, because that thing is a blast to watch race, and it does. I mean, it has to be a blast to drive it too. And they're and not only that, but those cars actually look more like street cars than these cars do.
They do. They really do. And the thing that I appreciate about that series as well is the diversity. The diversity translates to good racing on the track. Each brand can bring something specific to the table, and the governing body has done a fantastic job of making it competitive across the brand.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've really appreciated about that series, because if you haven't watched an Australian supercar race, you're really missing it, because they put on a good show.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do, Sam. We're watching a pretty good show here. That's Troy Carricker in fourth. Joseph Klein is in fifth. Klein has managed to escape Mr. Excitement for the time being. Osterman, he got wicked loose coming out. He got wicked loose coming out of turn 5 the last time through there, and really lost a lot of time.
Oh, big handful there as well.
He's trying to gain it all back through. He's trying to gain it all back there.
Trying to outbrake him in the corners and then drive hard off. And so again, that's what we saw with John Hutchins early in the event. It just makes those rear tires exceptionally angry.
Yes, it does. But we've got a nice three-way battle here. Speaking of John Hutchins, he is the car off in the distance to the back of this group. Do want to point out that David Dunwoody has both been in the barriers again. There is additional damage to the front of the 28, but it's not slowing him down. He is now working on the back of Dylan Godness here. This is the battle for 8th. Dunwoody wants it. Godness has it. I don't necessarily think that either one of these drivers is necessarily comfortable, Sam, but they're going to give it a good show anyway.
But isn't that what good drivers do? Is put on a good show?
You know, it is, and kudos to most of these guys here. I don't know other than
he drives it deep in there.
Yeah, other than Logan Edwards, we're gonna get inside of Dunwoody's car.
Oh, and now we have it up here. Oh, and Osterman and Klein are door to door again.
And Troy Carricker is gonna come off the worst of that battle.
Well, Klein got in there behind Carricker, and he begins to make this big move, and he dives on the inside of Carricker to make the move, and I think Carricker was really letting him go, but Klein overdrives the corner, hits the wall, bounces back over in front of those two drivers, and then Osterman tries to overtake him, and then they're door to door going into the next corner. Osterman's going to come out smelling like a rose. Klein's car is tore into pieces, and Troy Carricker's thinking, man, I was just trying to be nice.
Yeah, there was a big lick for Joseph Klein. And of course, he and Osterman get to rubbing on each other going through the next corner. And of course, that winds up hurting Carricker as well. Joseph Klein, though, he took multiple hits to that car.
Yes, he did
during that exchange, and it is not better for the wear. There he is. He's running along in 7th. We'll take a look at Troy Carricker. He was kind of an innocent bystander on that. You're exactly right. He's running his pace. He's trying to do the right thing. Let the man through.
Yes, and that's exactly what I believe Troy Carricker was doing. And
yeah.
Joseph Klein just having that opportunity, he thought that he was going to be racing Troy into the corner and that he had to dive it in deeper, and he just did not make the corner.
Yeah, and look, I mean, you know, it's something that, you know, you might in the future, you know, I don't know, I don't have the chat up, but if you're gonna let somebody by, especially in a narrow street course, maybe call that out.
Yeah, you want to wait, call it out, wave them by. But I didn't hear anything in game or in the race chat that would indicate that Troy was saying that. But you could look at the language of the car in the corner and tell that he was doing that.
You could. Now here's a dangerous situation for Troy Carricker. He's got the 11 of Robert Smith. Robert Smith, 10 laps down. Now David Dunwoody has gone a lap down, and he is on the pit lane under repair. And
wasn't David just fighting with Dylan Godness for a position?
You know, let's see.
We were watching. He was fighting him for. Aren't they still fighting for that spot?
Well, he.
No, he is on the pit lane.
Well, yeah, he got excited, going through. Looks like he got excited going through. Looks like he got excited getting into turn 7, Sam, and kind of locked the rears up and backed the thing into the fence a little bit. We're looking at Logan Edwards. He has made the pass while we were jabbering about everybody else. Logan Edwards has made the pass on Ryan O'Donoghue.
He sure has, and he's while we're going on about the other stuff, Logan has decided that he's just going to set the retro rockets in, and he's already pulled out to a 2.5 second lead.
Unfortunately for David Dunwoody, the car is blown up. He advised the water, the radiator and water cooling system no longer exists, and so he said it actually blew up, and that's what caused the accident. And so a tough night, a tough end to David Dunwoody. One car who is not here is Greg Evans. Now, Sam, you might have some insight. Evans, of course, long locked into the playoffs with multiple wins. Not a fan of the street courses, or just had something else to do tonight?
No. Well, actually, I did speak with Greg Evans in the days leading up to this particular event, and he told me that he was going to be taking some practice. He'd never raced here before, and he was going to be looking into some practice laps here. However, an opportunity came up for him to take a little personal time with his wife and his little girl, and so he decided that he was going to do that.
And
so they're on vacation.
well taken, well earned, well deserved. Enjoy your vacation, Greg. If you're out there listening, I hope you're not. But I hope you're not. I hope you're enjoying your vacation. And certainly, listening to Sam and I is not a way to enjoy a vacation. We're
Absolutely not.
we're enjoying Logan Edwards. He is picking him up and putting him down. Sam, he was a second faster
Sure is.
than Ryan O'Donohue that last lap. Now remember, we are going to have another caution here within the next. We are going to have another caution here within the next 3 or 4 laps. Lap 30 is the second stage caution. As we do that, let's go through the field and just kind of reset everything for our fans at home. In the lead, the 86 of the old Narc brain. That's Logan Edwards for Luke Mansky Racing. He is your leader. Ryan O'Donohue, pole sitter, fastest in practice for the 73rd week in a row. Ryan O'Donohue runs it in second. And there's Ryan in the 14. Kendall Paul. We have not called Kendall's name all that much, Sam, other than to say he's in third. And he has not really moved out of that spot much, has he?
No, it seems that he's found his place in this field, and he is steadily just making laps and holding that position. He's been comfortable there. Actually, over the course of the first run, he was actually closing in on Logan Edwards and Ryan O'Donohue by the end of the first stage, and so maybe we'll see Kendall Paul kind of bring a repeat of that particular feat where he has better long run speed than the leaders.
Yeah, I was just going to say, last time through, he was the fastest car on the track by a substantial margin. He is catching both O'Donohue and Logan Edwards. And so there's Kendall Paul. Justin Osterman runs along in fourth. We've talked at length about Mr. Excitement and his escapades this evening. He is fourth. And then Troy Carricker has recovered nicely. He's got a little bit of damage to the 94, but he soldiers along in fifth. He's got a nice lead over John Hutchins. There's Hutchins. He is in sixth position. Dylan Godden is in seventh. He's been around a few times, Sam, but he continues along. He's got a nice dent.
It looks like Joseph Klein has succumbed to the damage that he received in that last incident that we covered.
Yeah,
and he is actually 2 laps down him.
Yeah, he's on pit lane with the meatball, as is Robert Smith and Brian Sharp. There's Eric Quarter in eighth. Lee Campbell in ninth. There's Lee in the familiar Goodyear colors, and Sean Merriman. Merriman has also hit most things, including except the pace car this evening, but he continues along. The 11 of Robert Smith back out on the racing surface, although I don't know that car is going to be on the surface much longer, moving very slowly. Colby Pierce is in 11th spot. There's David Dunwoody.
And now Kendall Paul is on the bumper of Ryan O'Donohue as we get into the closing part of this second stage.
Yes, we do.
Paul is pressuring Ryan O'Donohue now for the second spot.
Do point out that Dunwoody has effected repair and is back on the racetrack. Joseph Klein still on the pit lane. Robert Smith is back to the pit lane. Brian Sharp has not left it. So Klein, Smith, and Sharp are all have the meatball. They are respecting that on pit road. Kendall Paul is going to try to gain a spot. He is all over the back of Ryan O'Donohue here.
Ryan will probably try to make sure that he can try to maintain this just simply for the stage points. Kendall Paul will equally trying to win those particular advantageous points as well, as we've seen. Kendall Paul has actually been all the way up until he's caught Ryan O'Donohue has been consistently faster than even Logan Edwards, and so I'd be interested to see how all this plays out on the next restart. The pits have been closed, and so once we get in and affect the last pit stops and get repairs on the cars that need repairs and new tires, I'm going to be interested to see what these front three will do in the closing stage. Oh, and now we see Kendall Paul move out beside Ryan O'Donohue. Ryan is not going to put up a fight here.
Nope.
In my opinion, this is what good drivers do. Mark Martin was a huge advocate for this. for racer respect. And if a driver runs you down from seconds behind and he catches you, Mark Martin firmly believed that you need to pull over for him unless it's the closing stages of the race. He has a good car, a good run. You don't need to be disrespectful and purposely hold somebody up just for the sake of holding them up. It's going to work. It's going to come back to you eventually. If you want to race someone hard that way, then it'll be, eventually they're going to treat you the same way. But if you show respect to a driver that's earned it, drove up, caught you, let them go, it's going to that same courtesy is going to be extended to you somewhere down the line.
That's very true. And the other thing that these two drivers are thinking about is points. Greg Evans
Yes,
not
sir.
thinking about
Yes,
points.
sir.
Joseph Klein's not thinking about it. David Dunwoody is, because he's out there circulating. Joseph Klein has decided that discretion the better part of valor. He is ejected
What a
from the number
shame.
7. Yeah.
What a shame.
But Dunwoody is out here picking up, trying to pick up spots, staying alive. Out here, picking up spots, staying alive. Kendall Paul has not had a good Grand National season thus far, and so he needs a good run here. Ryan O'Donoghue, he's 10th in points. He has not yet won a race somehow. He needs a good run.
As he looks on the inside of Kendall Paul there. Ryan O'Donoghue, if there was ever someone in the field or even in the series as a whole that probably felt like that he was getting shot in the foot week in and week out, it would be Ryan O'Donoghue. It just seems like fortune has not smiled on him, but I really give him a lot of respect and a lot of kudos for his consistency. He shows up. He shows he has speed. He shows that he has desire to win these races. He runs up front. He qualifies well. He's got a great attitude despite the misgivings that have fallen against him. And so all of those are great qualities, not just in a driver, but in a person.
You're exactly right, Sam. And so do want to thank Ryan just for his good attitude. I mean, he's a
Yes.
fun guy. He's been, he's a fun guy, and he's been running some other series, and he's been doing a lot of it with one arm, which is also amazing. But he'll get it. He'll get one eventually. But it's a smart and savvy move. Let the faster guy go. So Kendall Paul moves into second. If you're Logan Edwards, are you worried about Kendall Paul being faster over the last part of that run? These first two stages, really 15 laps, and really the second stage 13 laps by the time you take out tires. The final stage is going to be the longest stage. It's going to be 15 hard ones. Kendall Paul was much quicker than Logan Edwards over the last bit of that second stage, and he's going to get to start right alongside Logan Edwards as well. Nobody else to pass, Sam.
Well, these front three cars have proven to be the class of the field as a whole. If you're Logan Edwards, Logan is a methodical racer on road courses from what I've seen here in the AMA series. He doesn't necessarily have to be a rabbit. He doesn't have to jump out of the hole and then feel like he has to run every lap like a qualifying lap. He's very cerebral and methodical in his approach. He wants to turn consistent laps and then allow that consistency to get him to the lead. If he is that kind of driver that I'm describing, then he's also paying close attention to the drivers in the relative that are around him. He followed Ryan O'Donoghue the entire first run to know where Ryan's strengths and weaknesses are. So he knows what Ryan's capable of. But if he's smart, he's also watching the relative, and he knows that Kendall Paul over the long run was knocking seconds off of his lead. And so if he's watching those things closely, he's keeping in mind of where these drivers are showing their hand and where these drivers are pacing themselves. So I think that Logan's probably that kind of driver. But we're going to find out here in the last stage exactly how these top three cars are going to play it out.
We
Then you have the wild card that just got brought into this whole into this whole scenario with Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman, who's going to be starting right there with them on the restart if he gets a clean pit stop.
Yeah, if he gets a clean pit stop, and that's part of it. You got to get on and off pit road here too, Sam. You see David Dunwoody. He's going to take the wave around, go to one lap down. There are no full course yellows. There would be manual yellows. But full course yellows are off. Edwards gets out, then Kendall Paul, then Ryan O'Donohue. Justin Osterman did not have a good stop, 17.9 seconds. He actually drops a spot to John Hutchins. And so Osterman comes out fifth. Carricker, Godden is still on the pit lane. Eric Corder is going to come out in sixth. Troy Carricker, Dylan Godden is, Sean Merriman still repairing damage. Lee Campbell is out. So that is the status for those automobiles, and we will return right after these messages from Blackmagic Studios. Welcome back to the Chicago Street Course. You've got Mark Murphy, Sam Crow in the booth for the P1 Broadcasting Network. It is Blackmagic Studios AMA Grand National action right now being led by Logan Edwards and Kendall Paul. They're going to make up the front row of Donahue and Hutchins. They're going to go from row 2 and watch out for row 3. Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman and Eric Corder, they're going to be there. You're going to see a pretty light Lee Campbell in 7th. Is the last car in line right now. Carricker, Merriman, Dunwoody, they are all trying to catch the field. They've been under significant repair on the pit lane. Carricker, and Merriman are all on the lead lap. David Dunwoody is 1 lap down. Colby Pierce is 4 laps down. He is on the pit lane under repair. Klein, Smith, and Sharp are, for all intents and purposes, out of the race at this point. And Sam, this is going to get pretty good. Kendall Paul was noticeably faster over the last 5 laps of that run than anybody else in the field. Ryan O'Donohue, lightning quick over the short haul. He's been shown to fall off a little bit. And then you've always got the specter of Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman. He's in 5th. What is he going to do? Is he going to try to throw something down the inside on cold tires, make something happen here on a restart, and then try to hold it? This place can be pretty difficult to pass, Sam.
Oh, no question that. We've talked about the difficulty of making passes as it is. And even if you're not trying to make a pass, for some of these drivers, just keeping it off the concrete barriers has been a task in itself as well. We only have 10 cars on the lead lap, and we've had several drivers that have called it a night. But the silver lining is we do have several fast cars up front. That's going to make it interesting here for the end of the event.
Sean Merriman has somehow acquired a meatball under the yellow flag and has towed Sam. And so Merriman is back on the pit lane.
Wow.
David Dunwoody could wind up here with a top 10 a lap down. We're going to stay with the restart here because this is important, Sam. This is going to be one of the final opportunities for these drivers to get past Logan Edwards.
Edwards gets an even better start than what Ryan O'Donoghue did, but Ryan O'Donoghue is not letting him go.
No, he didn't.
Osterman and Hutchins are door to door as they go into turn one.
Love that blimp shot
Yeah, that's a great shot. That's the one I'm looking at as well.
Of the field, yeah. Everybody's going to get into line more or less. Logan Edwards will stretch the lead out over Ryan O'Donoghue. Having that second spot really didn't benefit Kendall Paul like we thought it would, and he has a mirror full of Justin Osterman.
Well, we've seen in the previous two stages that Kendall Paul is not one to push the car very hard in the beginning of a stage, but now here it is the last of the stage, and he does not want to have to make up 6 to 8 seconds in the last 5 laps. He just will not have the time. So now he has the moniker hanging over his head that he has to use more tire here early in the run so that he can keep pace with those two cars in front of him. I don't know that Justin Osterman has shown that kind of pace in the race tonight. He's been good on longer runs, but I don't think that he's as quick as the top 3. And so Kendall Paul does not want them to get out too far of a lead.
No, he does not. No, he doesn't. So Kendall Paul with the long run pace, he wants to keep these two in sight because if they get out to too big of a lead, of course, doesn't matter how much pace you've got in a long run if the other cars are gone. Ryan O'Donoghue, he kind of faded in that second stage from Logan Edwards. He doesn't look like he's going to fade now. Ryan O'Donoghue is up on the wheel. Do want to report Sean Merriman has punched out of the 18. So that is going to give David Dunwoody a clear path to 10th place, 1 lap down. Edwards leads O'Donoghue, Kendall Paul, Justin Osterman, and John Hutchins. That's your top 5. Eric Corder, Troy Carricker, Dylan Godnez, and Lee Campbell are the front 9. Those are your lead lap cars. David Dunwoody is 1 lap down in 10th. Everybody else is either on pit road, significant laps down, or out of the event. I'm kind of wondering how this is going to play out, Sam. Ryan O'Donoghue.
Well, it's interesting that. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ryan O'Donoghue, for the 77th week in a row, fastest in practice, sits on the pole.
77th week in a row.
We know he's got the speed. At some point, this has to cash in for a win, doesn't it?
Oh my heavens! If you could go back and somehow look at just a few seconds ago, David Dunwoody driving into the corner behind Lee Campbell, slideways into the corner. He just misses Campbell on the left side, and then just misses the back of Dylan Godnez's car. It was incredible.
All right, here we go. Here, I think I've got it. We're in the wave. Whoa, no! Right into the tires.
Cue the music.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's not Brian Sharp.
No, but you have a song for him as well.
That's only at 3 in the morning in a 24-hour race. And actually,
that is clearly just missing your breaking point. That's clear. Oh, how did he not hit Dylan Godnez? Unbelievable.
Yes, it is. Back to the front of this deal, Sam. There's Kendall Paul. He runs long in 3rd. O'Donoghue and Edwards, they're going to have at this for the win, I think.
Well, that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that it'll be a race all the way to the end here. I was going to say before we saw David Dunwoody's Joey Chitwood impression, we're the thing that I've noticed watching these two leaders is it's really significant to watch where one driver really pushes the car in one section of the track, and the other driver, as we see Logan Edwards get a little bit slideways there, but Ryan O'Donoghue is really strong in some of the more technical braking areas, and Logan Edwards really seems to get great pace on the long straightaways and getting back to the throttle a little easier. And so it's really interesting that you'll see Ryan O'Donoghue close up in some spaces and then lose ground in other.
David Dunwoody has chimed in the chat. He wants to know if you got the roof. You did not get the roof, David. What you did get was the whole right side hard into the tires. I don't believe the roof is bent, but that car.
Dylan Godinez and Lee Campbell are grateful that you didn't get them.
That was a wild ride. You're going to go back and watch that in the broadcast. Working lap 38, coming to get 39 of 50 here at Chicago. We're watching the battle between this man, Logan Edwards, the old narc brain, and he's looking back toward Ryan O'Donoghue, but he's begun to pull the gap, Sam. 0.4 of a second
Ryan
the last
O'Donoghue
time.
Had a couple of turns where he really got onto the throttle way more than he needed to, and the back of the car began to come around on him, and so getting loosed off has been his demise a little bit on this on the last lap, and allowed Logan Edwards to kind of pull out a little bit of a gap here.
You know, that could be, and it could be a situation where he's trying that much harder, and when you try harder, you go slower. He needs to stay within himself, hit his marks. We know the speed is there, but that car is not handling to his
speed costs
liking.
money.
Yeah,
it really does.
So there's the battle for the lead. Kendall Paul is third. He's all alone. Same for Osterman in fourth and Hutchins in fifth.
Kendall Paul's only 2.8 seconds back right now, and that's as close as he's been at this particular juncture with 12 laps to go. So Kendall Paul is trying his best to make sure that they do not get away from him in a big staggering amount of time, like 6 or 8 seconds.
He is now a moment for John Hutchins there, and that's going to make this a three-way battle between Hutchins, Dylan Godinez, and Troy Carricker. Carricker now looking Godinez is looking on Hutchins as well as Carricker.
Big wiggle there from Dylan Godinez.
Yeah, and Carricker has been plenty fast. Kind of caught up in something not of his own doing, trying to let a faster car through. It cost him some spots. He dropped back to ninth on that last restart. He took 1 minute and 58 seconds of repair. He's got it going back in the right direction, though. I believe he's a lot faster than Dylan Godinez and John Hutchins at this point, but I don't think he wants to get his car involved in any more contact.
Well, we saw what happens when he was trying to be a nice guy about letting people go earlier. He's probably being very tentative around two cars that are racing for a position again, like Godinez and Hutchins are here ahead of him. He could very well be just making sure that they can settle whatever it is that they have to be doing on the racetrack so that he can either take advantage of it or wait for his turn.
That's very true. Lee Campbell has also crept up into that battle. There you see the blue and yellow number 44. He is now joined and make this a 4-car race.
I do appreciate when we have a smaller field like this, when there are packs of cars that get in here and really race for positions. And so it's really nice to see these drivers nose to tail in the closing laps of this event.
It most certainly is, Sam. You've only got really 10 cars out there, 9 cars circulating, but 4 of them right together, and here they are.
Yeah, you have to say circulating for 9 cars and then sliding for 1.
Sliding indeed, Sam. Sliding indeed. Ryan O'Donoghue has slid right back into the fight for the lead. There's O'Donoghue. He is not.
Whoa! He drove it so deep in right there.
He is not going away, is he?
I like his spirit. I like it. I really do. I want him to continue just sticking with it. You see how loose the car gets right there. That's been a weak corner for him. He loses the back end, and so when he does, he loses all the time that he's gained on entry.
Well, but he's learned. See, he used the wall to straighten himself out and get going again in the right direction. He didn't lose as much time as he had in the past. He's got it down. He gets it down to 6/10 before the braking zone, and there's another just that ever so soft touch on the cement for Ryan O'Donoghue. But he's trying. Logan Edwards, though, the experienced road racer, O'Donoghue gets within range, and Edwards drives away.
Yeah, if you watch Edwards and watch how he clips his apexes on these corners leading to the long straights, he's smooth as butter on hot toast. I'm just telling you, it's really good. It's really exciting to watch him as he's coming off those corners because he is so consistent, missing those inside corners perfectly. As you see, Ryan O'Donoghue is just a little bit high on those corners. But Logan Edwards knows exactly where he wants to be. He cuts them cleanly, and he gets back on the throttle so smoothly.
Yes, he does. We're going to jump on board with Logan Edwards and show the fans at home exactly what Sam means. Now, some of these cars you've seen sawing, and I mean sawing on steering wheels, slideways coming out of corners. Logan Edwards, it looks like a day at the beach for him, doesn't it, Sam?
Yeah, it looks like he's really steering the car so much with the throttle instead of the steering wheel, and it's very vital and key that if you can have, and this is something that makes Greg Evans stand out in racing, and why I believe that Greg Evans is so good at oval racing, well, any kind of racing really. But you see these drivers like he and Logan Edwards here on the road courses where everything just it falls under throttle control and being able to know exactly how much throttle to use and when to use it, and making it work to your advantage instead of just making the rear tires go faster. I know for me, Greg Evans has actually come and sit in my rig and run laps on my rig at my own home, and he still consistently is the second and a half faster sometimes than I am on my rig, on my setup.
Yeah.
But when I watch him, I see clearly his throttle control is so much more different than mine.
You know, it is, and a lot of it is so when you're at that level, a lot of it is very minute, and you can only really see it in side-by-side telemetry. Or
if they're sitting in front of you.
Yeah, it's a great point. So
and that was something that I watched. It's just the steering input is important as well. Don't get me wrong, but nothing dictates as much to tire wear and speed, especially coming off corners, as your throttle control.
That's very, very true, Sam. We're going to check back in on this battle between Hutchins, Godness, and Carricker, 5th, 6th, and 7th. There goes Troy Carricker. He is under Dylan Godness, so he has decided that now is the time to move. Troy Carricker is going to take the 6th spot away from Dylan Godness, who is sideways in behind him. Troy Carricker, though, is going to have that spot. And I believe he is going to say adios to Dylan Godness and try to run down
here now, yeah, and go hard for John Hutchins here in the closing stages of our race.
Yes, he is. We're going to keep the telemetry up, Sam, because there are only 9 cars still running. David Dunwoody, 8 laps down, is in 10th. Merriman, Pierce, Klein, Smith, and Sharp are all out of the race. John Hutchins has lost it going into that left-hander. Troy Carricker is going to go to the inside.
Let's move the 94, as we were talking about him before the event tonight, and now we're moving the 94 up into the 5th position.
Yeah, John Hutchins just outbroke himself in turn 6. That allowed Troy Carricker, Dylan Godness, dirt tracking it through upper whacker.
Hutchins hard into the wall again.
Yeah, he's wrinkled that 72 up quite a few times. But Troy Carricker, he's going to go back to the top 5 in the 5th spot. And Ryan O'Donoghue is on the pit lane. Ryan O'Donoghue.
No!
O'Donoghue appears to have blown the engine.
No, he has rear end damage as well.
What has happened to Ryan O'Donoghue?
This happened way earlier in the lap.
Wheel hopped it through turn 6.
He sure did. Oh, and then front end. He hit the front end of the car.
Yes, he did.
I think that is the same corner that Joseph Klein misnavigated. Then turning around, he crashes the rear of the car into the barrier. But by now, he clearly had engine damage.
Yeah, here it is.
Oh, no.
Here it is from the onboard, Ryan O'Donoghue. And there you can hear it. Lucky not to get hit by anybody going through. That's going to promote Justin Osterman to the podium. And how about Troy Carricker? He is going to persevere here into 4th position now. So you've got Logan Edwards firmly ensconced in the lead over Kendall Paul. Justin Osterman is on an island in 3rd. Troy Carricker is 4th. The best, there is still a battle for position, believe it or not. That is Dylan Godinez and John Hutchins, and they're fighting for the final spot in the top 5. I don't think Lee Campbell is going to be a threat for that. He is 3.8 seconds behind them. Eric Quarter, 12.5 behind Campbell. And so this is the only battle on the track. And Sam, it's a good one.
It is a good one. And this mid-pack racing has been a lifesaver as far as commentating goes. It's nice to see these drivers that are having at it so late in the event with 5 laps remaining. And Kendall Paul is 2.91 seconds behind Logan Edwards, and we are in this last 5-lap run of the stage where Kendall Paul has been consistently in the last stages. He was the fastest car on the racetrack. Let's see if he can duplicate that in the closing laps here. If he can close in on Logan Edwards even more, because what we saw befall Ryan O'Donoghue, we could very easily see befall Logan Edwards if he is not careful.
You most certainly could, and here's the situation with that. Last time through, Logan Edwards 135.480, Kendall Paul 134.377. So that same situation is manifesting itself one more time as we continue to watch John Hutchins and Dylan Godinez in the battle for the final spot in the top 5. That is Hutchins 5th, Godinez 6th. They're continuing to go after it.
Now, this late in the race, you're not looking to do anybody any favors. Race for your position. If you think you can hold it without getting crashed or wrecked or causing yourself your own demise, this is the time of the race that you should be racing for your position. And so that's what we're seeing John Hutchins do, and Dylan Godinez is trying to take it from him. And in the meantime, while they go at it, like you said a little while ago, it does open up a door of opportunity if Lee Campbell can pick up the speed a little bit, that he can join that race as well. All falls our second place car. Now he lost 0.6 of a lap that time by, as Logan Edwards is now pulling away from what we can tell.
They evened out last time through. 134.387 for Edwards, 134.244 for Kendall Paul, 135.143 for Justin Osterman. So Osterman is falling away. Godinez and Hutchins are staging an exhibition as to who can hit the wall the most and maintain their position on the racetrack. We're looking at lap 46 of 50 here in the Blackmagic Studios AMA Grand National Series. Logan Edwards is your leader. Kendall Paul is 2nd. Justin Osterman 3rd. Troy Carricker 4th. We're not watching any of those cars because they are fairly well spread out. Kendall Paul was 0.3 quicker that last time through. Advantage is still about 2.5 seconds. It's come down a little bit. But John Hutchins and Dylan Godinez right together for 5th.
You were not telling any story. These the only thing that these cars need are tugboat tires hanging around them, but as many times as they're banging the walls.
I mean,
These
it's
drivers are doing everything they can to hold on to those positions.
they.
Ryan O'Donohue did pipe into the chat, and he did say that his demise was just for pushing it too hard, and it just got away from him.
That'll happen. There's a line, don't cross, right, Sam? And Ryan O'Donohue approached it. He walked it pretty fine all night, and it finally did come to bite him. There's the battle for fifth. We're gonna get back up here. We'll show the battle for the lead, and there's what 2.5 seconds looks like. It's about half the distance between turns 8 and 10. Would be the thing. Maybe half of one of the short straightaways on Balbo or Jackson. Not much, Sam.
Oh no, not much at all.
Not much onto the main straight. Kendall Paul is trying this time through 133.6 to 134 flat. So Kendall Paul is. Go ahead, Sam.
4/10 of a difference.
Yeah, so Logan Edwards pulled away that time. Kendall Paul had been nibbling at it, and you got to wonder if this man right here, Logan Edwards, had just been running a pace. He looked down at the relative, saw Kendall Paul got close, and I think I'll speed up and pull away a little bit more, just to not give the specter of a last-minute dive or something like that on the last lap come into play. But there's the battle for the lead. John Hutchins has pulled a second away from Dylan Godnez, and so that doesn't appear as though it will materialize a battle. And Logan Edwards, he came dangerously close to doing the same thing Ryan O'Donohue did earlier. See that, Sam? Very sideways.
Well, it just goes to show that even if you have what seems to be a comfortable lead in the closing stages of a race, the racing competitive nature of these guys is that they want to push this car as hard as they can push it for as many laps as they can push it. The only way that you'd really let up and just kind of coast your way is if you had a substantial lead going into the last lap. Logan Edwards is a racer. He's not gonna give up time just simply because he thinks that he can win it based on his current position. He's going to make sure that he wins this thing under speed.
Well, and let's talk about that because technical street courses, you slowing down often will lead to a mistake. The most famous example, of course, Ayrton Senna did that in Monaco in 1988, had a huge lead, and they, was instructed by Ron Dennis to slow down in the McLaren, feeling that they had a huge lead, no need to risk anything, and Senna wrecked the car at Portier, put the car in the barriers, and famously walked back to his apartment rather than go back to the garage. He was so distraught. Paul Tracy did the same thing, had a 2-lap lead. Roger Penske had a 2-lap lead in an IndyCar race in the early 90s. Roger Penske instructed him to slow down. Tracy threw the car into the barriers. It's almost more dangerous if you've got a good rhythm going. It is almost more dangerous to slow down than it is to keep going at full blast if you're in that zone. But speaking of in the zone, Kendall Paul continues to be pesky. He closed back in that time by a couple of tenths. He's got it back to about 2 seconds now. He is not going away, Sam. He's going to make Logan Edwards earn it.
Can you imagine just in the cockpit of Kendall Paul's car, and right there,
White flag, just by the way.
Right there is just watching. Logan Edwards is right there in front of me. He's that close. What can I do to gain this space? What can I do to close the gap? I mean, it's just, it's exciting, but yet it's also very nerve-wracking at the same time.
Dylan Godnez, by the way, has fallen into the clutches of Lee Campbell, and so we've got a battle for sixth. John Hutchins is going to maintain fifth. Troy Carricker has moved himself firmly into fourth place. He's about 5 seconds up the road from this battle.
Oh, yeah, he's doing a great job tonight. Troy's doing very good.
And there he is. There you see the 94 machine. But let's get back to the 6th and 7th deal, Sam, because there are positions to be decided. Well, we might want to get back to the lead. Logan, Kendall Paul is within 1.3 seconds here.
Well, we are on the last lap, and if there's going to be any extra caution that's going to be thrown out on the race course, it's going to be Logan Paul, who wants to make sure that he does not clip any walls, he does not miss any corners, doesn't miss his braking points. So he knew he had a couple of seconds to work with, and he may just very well just being tender-footed, still running a competitive lap, but being tender-footed about it.
He does, Sam. He wants to make sure he brings this home in one piece, and he's going to do it. Logan Edwards is going to come home under the checkered flag from Barney the flagman. He will win the Loop 110. Kendall Paul is going to be second, and here comes Justin Osterman. He's still exciting, Sam. He'll come home in third, and Troy Carricker has a ways to go. So Justin Osterman was 14 seconds behind the leader. Carricker was 18 seconds behind Osterman, so he's still got quite a ways to go to complete his lap.
Exactly. We still have racers that are going to be on the racetrack for some time to come.
For another minute or so, yeah. Eric Corder is a minute 13 behind the lead. So there comes Carricker. John Hutchins is going to come through in fifth. Dylan Godness just does hold off Lee Campbell for sixth. Campbell going to come home in seventh. And here's the final man circulating, Eric Corder. Through turn number 9, he'll make the right turn number 10. Eric Corder is going to bring it home in a well-deserved 8th place finish, Sam.
A lot of respect for these drivers that toughed this road course out tonight and finished the event. I know that a lot of drivers had some misfortune that befell them, and they had to call in an early night. But there have been some drivers here tonight that proved to be the class of the field, and then you have some that survived the chaos, and then you had others who just minded their business and made it happen. And so really a good finish for these top 8 drivers who finished on the lead lap.
Most certainly was, Sam. Tonight for the Blackmagic Studios AMA Grand National Series, the Loop 110, Logan Edwards is your winner. Kendall Paul, he's going to bring it home second. Justin Osterman will round out the podium. Troy Carricker, oh so close to the podium positions. He is fourth. John Hutchins is going to bring it home fifth. Dylan Godden is Lee Campbell, Eric Corder. They're going to round out the lead lap. Out of the race in ninth, pole sitter Ryan O'Donohue. David Dunwoody will.
That's a heartbreaker.
It is. He'll wind up ninth. David Dunwoody is going to be 10th. In 11th, Sean Merriman. Colby Pierce is 12th. Joseph Klein, 13th. Robert Smith, 14th. Brian Sharp, 15th. Randy Dunlap is going to bring it home 16th on the evening. Sam, whew.
I think, we had a better quality of race tonight than what even some probably would have expected. A lot of times at these street courses, you look for just one guy to completely dominate and leave and just walk out the door on all the other drivers. But Ryan O'Donoghue was a contender there up front. Kendall Paul was a contender there up front. And then you had great battles behind them between Osterman and, of course, Joseph Klein had a good run until he had calamity that visited him. And then even there at the end, John Hutchins, Dylan Godnez, Lee Campbell, all of those drivers were very close in proximity to give us a good finish as well. And then Troy Carricker, who we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, and he just misses a podium position and finishes in fourth. So it's really, really, in my opinion, this has been a competitive, good race here in the AMA Blackmagic Grand National Series.
It was a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, let's bring up Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman. Justin, you've got Mark and Sam in the P1 Broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got y'all.
So you lived up to the moniker. We call you Mr. Excitement for a reason. It was definitely exciting on several occasions for you, bringing home third. Kind of talk about your day, my man.
Yeah, it got a little bumpy between me and the seven, I believe it is. I was trying to do it the correct way and get around him clean, but I was giving him a few, hey, I'm here bumpies, just a few hellos, friendly, I'm here's, but it's tonight was a lot cleaner than we thought it would be, man. It was really good driving around. It was really hard trying to catch old Kendale once he got in front of me and then got to running with them boys up front, man. I was trying to get a little bit out of that car tonight, but I'm glad to have P3, man. My heart breaks for Donahue, brother. That man's been so close, and I want to give a shout out to him. That boy can drive anything, it seems like. And I just, when I went by him in that spin on that last corner, I was like, he's so close, man. I want him to get one so bad, but I'll take P3. Not the greatest way to get it, but hey, we'll take it. So.
Well,
Yeah.
Justin, you're no stranger to trying to get the most out of the race car. As you saw where Ryan O'Donoghue, he said that he was pushing as hard as he could push it to try and keep pace with Logan Edwards as he was in the lead. He wanted to be there at the end. And so, what's your frame of mind tonight as you were running through the stages? It seemed like the first stage you kind of paced yourself a little differently and had a better long run, and then in the second stage, of course, all the shenanigans were playing out with the number 7 and yourself. And then can you just give us a rundown of what your thought processes were through the different stages?
Definitely. I'll say Chicago. I love Chicago, and I guess I'm realizing I'm more of a road course man than an oval guy. I guess I just seem to do better here on these road courses for some reason. But this is one of the tracks like Sonoma coming up to and Watkins, and just I'm really comfy on. I know the track really well, so it's more or less really like you say. Just I'm trying to pace myself, and I don't have a whole lot of time in the Xfinity cars here, so I was really trying to figure it out going through those first two stages, or at least the first stage. Really, I was just trying to keep the tires cool because I know that concrete and that asphalt out there is slick. So gotta kind of keep them calm. That way you can keep the car under you. But I mean, I love these road courses, so keep them coming.
Well, congratulations on your podium finish tonight. You did a great job.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Keep going fast. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs, my man. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I want to shout out a family friend of mine, Randy. He's helped me out a lot with some stuff outside of the league, and I just really want to appreciate all that for him. And also Kendale, running with him these last couple nights here in Chicago and in another league we run. It's been fun following behind him, and all my boys in DPI. I want to shout out to them. John getting 5th, that's huge. So really ecstatic for my man there on that one. And definitely all sponsors, Carry All RC, man. They're my main sponsor. I love them and everything they do for me. Got to shout them out. And Archway Industrial, for the series, y'all for broadcasting, P1 for sure. Everything y'all do, all these hits we keep getting, just love it, man. And y'all in the booth, it's so fun to rewatch these races with y'all commenting, man. I love it.
Good deal.
And that'll do it for me, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, start practicing. The setup is in the Discord, buddy.
Yes, sir. I would do that.
You are up at 12 noon Saturday plus 2 hours. Don't wreck my car, right?
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right. Well, get out of here. Go fast. Keep going fast. Having fun, Justin. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
That is Justin Osterman. He is going to be the third place finisher tonight. For second place, we'll go to another member of that team, Kendale Paul. Kendale, you've got Mark and Sam in the P1 broadcasting booth. Talk to us about trying the frantic attempt to catch Logan Edwards. Did you think you had anything for him? It's like every time he got close, he found another gear and pulled it back to 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to ask him. I was wondering if he was just trying to manage that gap because, we would catch him really into that one, I can't remember the turn numbers but after the museum, that 180 turn there, we would really catch him up there and cut off a half a second to almost a second. And saw that we were reeling him in, so I was like, okay, maybe I have a shot here if he makes a mistake. And he was just flawless, and I don't think I really had anything for him. He was good on the short run, on the long run. We just had the long run pace, not much short run pace. But yeah, it was P2 though. Still, after not finishing one of these for a month, it feels good to finally finish one, and it's just another cherry on top of that pie, and finish here in second.
Well, Kendall, it was a great finish for you tonight. You were consistently in the top three. By all rights, you were in the top three all night long. You proved that you had a great long run car. But you kind of alluded just a moment ago about how important and how glad you are to have a good finish. What's your outlook moving forward for the rest of the season here in the Black Magic Series in the AMA? What are your goals moving forward, as you know that there's another road course that's coming up, and you're wanting to work your way up through the? I mean, everyone wants to win, but what are you doing? What are you wanting to do to get there?
It's about mainly finishing races right here at this point in this series for us. I mean, it's been a struggle between wheel issues and having connectivity issues. And I mean, there's so many races that have gone away from us that we should have easily had a top 10, if not a top 5. And so that's the main goal right now, is starting to finish some races and putting ourselves in those positions for a win, for a stage win, for those extra playoff points. Those go a long way in the playoffs. And that was just the main goal tonight, was just to finish the race. Like I said, it's been a month since we finished on the lead lap, so like I said, it feels really good to finally finish one, and hopefully we can get this ball rolling back in the right direction and keep the 78 up into the front, and maybe check off a stage win or something, get some more playoff points, because we've really struggled here this last month.
Well, tonight it could be the turning point, man. It was really good finish and great job
Yes.
tonight. I know it seemed like there were
Thank you.
times in the race where you probably felt like you were the only race car on the track. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's kind of nice to have that and not be pressured, and you can run consistent laps. And so maybe this will be the big turning point for you, or at least that's what we're hoping.
Yeah, I hope so. And we go to Sonoma here next week. We've figured out a win there. Kind of stumbled into one, so maybe we'll stumble into one again next week. Never know what happens, but it feels really good to get this ball rolling back in the right direction.
I'm sure it does, Kendall. Thank you so much for jumping in the booth with us, buddy. It's always good to see you on the podium. Friends, family, sponsor, shout-outs. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I got to thank the league sponsors first and foremost. Archway Additional Coatings, Black Magic Studios, Admin Box, Track Racer, Rogue Energy, all those guys that make this league go around, and been great sponsors to work with for the league, and kind of get to do what we want and that sort of thing. Then second of all, got to thank all the sponsors on the car. Additionally, to No Pass Media, Blue Week, and this KP Sworn Tracker 78. All those that contribute to the team. We're the 78 team. Got to thank all the guys at Dark Course Performance and Corp. Make these races a lot more fun, and to have someone to have fun with during the race. And got to thank you guys up here in the P1 booth, and put on another wonderful show for us, and I can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah, you're more than welcome, man. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy. I know you got plans this weekend. Enjoy them.
Thank you. You guys have a good one as well.
Yes, sir. That is Kendall Paul. He will be second this evening, and that's going to leave us with the man of the hour, the old narc brain himself, Logan Edwards. Logan, you've got Murph and Sam in the P1 broadcasting booth. You dominant once you got by Ryan O'Donoghue. Tell us how you made that pass and then basically ran away with it.
Just attrition. This is a track that really beats your tires up. So it's got to be worse than any other road course, I'm pretty sure. And I knew that whenever you're leading, you don't have a marker in front of you. You have to be super consistent. Just can't lull yourself into any false sense of security. And I assumed that that's what happened to O'Donoghue. Just made a split second mistake, and I got by.
Speaking of those particular points, Logan, great run again here on the road courses, man. It is really it's really a delight to see you, how smooth you are on these road courses and how methodical you are. But in the first stage, you were consistently just following Ryan. What was the turning point where what did you find was the weak point that you felt like that you could utilize to make that pass and get out front and lead the rest of the event?
Well, I think it's not that he had a weak point. It's that I wanted to keep my cards close to my chest. It's the only time the first time I got past him, it was after he made a mistake, so I could safely get 2-3 seconds immediately and not have him follow me. So it's like I said before, following really helps. It helps with your long run. It helps with your braking markers. Helps you get prepared for the pass.
No question. I agree.
Well, I'll tell you
Well,
what.
it was certainly very. I said in the broadcast, I felt like your run was so cerebral that you were really going to class and learning and just trying to make sure that you were saving as much car for the end of the event that you could. So congratulations.
Yeah, man. With the to the winner go the spoils. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The floor is yours, my friend.
Luke Mansky Racing Esports, they brought me on board for their Spa 24, and I'm super pumped for it. And my brother Landon, he's also on that team. Super pumped to race with him. He was watching all night. And P1 Broadcasting, the AMA. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you showing up and showing us how it's done on a twisty, my friend. Keep going fast, having fun, and we will see you, I assume, probably Montreal Monday night, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that's Logan Edwards, the jack of all trades here. He is the winner tonight in the AMA. And Sam, Eric Corder, I think, said it best.
I saw that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he kind of said it best. He feels like he went 12 rounds with a 25-year-old Mike Tyson. He didn't get knocked out. He went the distance, and that's a win. And so I think that kind of sums up any race in a stock car on a street course. As long as you make the distance, you've won something. Logan Edwards certainly was the winner of the race tonight. But you can't help but give kudos to the 8 drivers who finished this thing on the lead lap.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with Eric Corder 100%. It feels like you've been beat to death, but surviving and going the distance is critical for your psyche, really, and by all practical purposes. I mean, you just feel good that you finished the race, that you didn't succumb to damage or mistakes or anything like that. You went the distance and you finished it, and that's always satisfying to have that particular feeling. It is equally the feeling that I'm hoping that our team has at Spa this weekend after 24 hours.
Most certainly is. Most of us do have a busy weekend, and it's no different than here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. We've got a busy weekend coming up for you, Sam. Tomorrow, the Truck Series is off, so you and I do get our Friday night back. But that's
at the beginning of August.
Yeah, beginning of August. So we're going to take the entire month of July off. There is a big one on Saturday, the iRacing IndyCar Series presented by 4D Racewear. That's going to go at 2 o'clock. And Sam, we got some big news today. Those races are now listed in the This Week in iRacing, and so congratulations to our colleagues on the IndyCar side for getting those official races listed. That's a huge deal. Kudos to Gary Godso and crew. The Dark Horse CW12 Series will be Sunday night, 8 o'clock. That is from Kentucky, and it'll be presented by The Joy of Driving. Monday night, as I mentioned, we're going to head to Montreal, the IndyCar Open Series Top Split, 8 p.m., myself and Jason Collins, and that will be immediately followed by the Nightcap Sim Gaming Expo ISRA Open Wheel Series from Michigan at 9:35. Tuesday, the IndyCar Oval Series presented by Techtopia goes from Kansas at 8:15. On Wednesday, Ryan Eric King and myself will be at Kentucky for the Horizon IndyCar Series. That'll be at 8, and that'll bring us right back here, Sam. 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start. It is the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series from Sonoma in 1 week's time. For everybody at the P1 Broadcasting Channel, Sam Crow, Gary Godso, our founder, we do want to thank everybody who makes this possible, especially the first responders, the military, the police, the firemen, the nurses in the emergency room, the EMTs, all the people who do the hard work at night so that we can sleep soundly in our beds. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you, Sam.
Good night, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in.
We do indeed. We'll see you next week.
Good night.